Greetings, friends. Ken McAuliffe, the jazz vinyl lover, back here again on a sunny day in New York City. And today I'm going to veer a little bit off the jazz vinyl lover beaten path and talk about my favorite percussion records. Percussion-only records. I moved to New York City as a drummer back in the early 90s. Couldn't cut the mustard. Started writing by default. I've written for Billboard, Spin, Rolling Stone, everywhere in his mother, Mojo. I currently write for Downbeat, Mix, Bass Player, Modern Drummer, and Downbeat. Of course, I write for Stereophile. But because I was a drummer for a long time, and because percussion records are extremely dynamic, some of them are just cheesy, and the guys are playing little bells and stuff. When I hear a percussion record, I want to hear the full-throated roar, as well as the quiet, sensitive touch from timpani to bass drums to snare drums to bells, vibraphone, wind chimes, everything. So I have about 10 records I wanted to run by you, including the ones that are okay and the ones that I think are fantastic. And I'm really interested to see what percussion records you have, because I'm always trying to broaden my base, because I usually just sort of stumble on them if I do a percussion search on eBay, or if I go to Academy Records on 18th Street in New York City, where Tim, one of the really nice dudes there, holds percussion records for me. So anyway, the first one, this is the one that people will usually mention to you. I think it's on Non-Such. It's the Percussion Music by Varese, Cowell Saperstein Oak, the New Jersey Percussion Ensemble, Raymond DeChoche, director. And I don't have my glasses on, but I assume this has ionization by Varese, very classic traditional percussion piece, which is a lot of fun to listen to. You can see that there. But the mileage only goes so far for me as a drummer. I want to hear like an orchestra of percussion and the full breadth. Like some people, there's some Stamu Yamashita records out, and all he does is play bells. I don't want to hear a bunch of bells. I want to hear some dynamics. I want to hear something really kicking ass. Oh, one record I don't have up, which is really amazing. It's from the early, this is mainstream. I'm thinking of Time Records. They have a Stockhausen record with some amazing percussion on it. But let's continue with the ones that I do have. This is Percussion Profiles on ECM with Jack DeJohnette, Pierre Favre, Freddie Studer, Dom Ramel, David Friedman, and George Gruntz. And I haven't listened to this record in a while, but it didn't do a lot for me when I got it. What's really cool, though, is the back shot, because you see all these dudes set up in a circle playing percussion and drums. It's really exciting. There's an art ensemble record that's sort of similar to this. But as far as straight-up percussion records go, with some really amazing drummers, this is great. But I don't recall that the compositions they played were too exciting. A record I do have, I can't find it, is Max Roach's M-Boom Collage on Black Saint Soul Note. That is one of the premier percussion records. It's Max Roach, Charlie Persip, Joe Chambers, Freddie Waits, I believe, and it's extremely well recorded. They did a follow-up record on CBS, which is not well recorded. But this record on Black Saint Soul Note, M-Boom Collage, is beautifully recorded, and they're beautiful tunes. And it's all pure percussion. It'll start out very minimalist, and little by little, the percussionists layer instruments, and it becomes really dynamic, and it's really fun to listen to. And as I said, it's a wonderful recording. This is another unusual recording of 45 RPM of Warren Smith with the flutist, Toki. This is 45 RPM. There's Warren and Toki on the back. And this is a blast. It sounds great on the hi-fi. It's very well recorded. Great dynamics. The flute, I can do without the flute, but Warren Smith was a great drummer. And I believe he played on some Strata East sessions or more avant-garde stuff. But this is a great record on... distributed by Audio... Oh, it's RCA, Japan. Distributed by Audio Technica back in the day. And then, of course, we have all the wonderful records that came out of, I think, Hollywood in the 50s and 60s. Perfect Percussion, Roy Hart and Milt Holland, Percussion and Special Effects. And it's very much like these guys probably made their living as soundtrack artists, particularly Milt Holland, a very well-known name. And on the back, you see all the percussion they're playing. Again, a very well-recorded record, but like another record I'm about to show you, I haven't played this in a while, but some of these can be a little corny. It's like sound effects, hi-fi sound effects records on command. I'm sorry, some of that stuff is just, the command stuff is better than this record, which I would never, ever suggest anyone get if you're serious about percussion. This is a famous record. People talk about how great it is. This is the cheesiest record I've ever heard. Pure cheese. I mean, how can you listen to this? It sounds great. It's been repressed by Analog Productions, but I can't get to the first track. It's all ring, boom, ba-bang. You know, it's just pure, unmitigated cheeseball stuff. I mean, I don't know what the big fascination is with this record. Music for bang, baroom, and harp. Dick Shorey's new percussion ensemble. I think Dick Shorey, he also did a lot of ping pong records for command. I'm sorry, it's just too corny. As a drummer, I want to hear a real composition, not just a bunch of effects. This is a great record I got at Academy. Cymbalon Recital by Marta Fabian. Works by Kurtag, Lang, Petrovic, Say, Stravinsky. I can't pronounce the last one. But this is a beautiful record. I think it's her playing harpsichord with some sort of mallets or something. There's a photo of Marta there. Anhan Garaton, Grand Prix Académie du Disque Français. This is a great record. What did I pay for it? $12. It's worth a lot more than that to me. I don't know if it's a valuable record. But it's, I mean, the beautiful compositions. It's very delicate, nuanced, subtle. You know, in a hi-fi system, it's very hard for a hi-fi to correctly reproduce things like bells and vibraphone for the tone and for the attack to be full. Usually it cuts off the decay, cuts off the ring, cuts off the note. But you've got a really good hi-fi if your treble will reproduce the accurate sound of cymbal bells and little bells and harpsichord or whatever this is. I guess she's playing a cymbalon. I'm a percussionist, I should know, right? Whatever, that's another fantastic record. And this sort of straddles the two, I think. Percussion on, this is great. Darius Milhaud, Carlos Chavez, Toccata for Percussion. That's become sort of a standard piece. Bela Bartok, Music for Strings, Percussion, and Celesta. That's another standard piece. The Milhaud, I think, isn't as common. Concerto for Percussion and Small Orchestra. But a beautiful laminated cover. A frame cover, as we say in the biz. Look at the colors on that sucker. I guess this is early 60s. And this is played with a lot of fun and dynamism, but it's a serious recording. And on the back it says, high fidelity enthusiast. There they are, high fidelity enthusiast. This is for you. And another one of these, this is a funny record, Hi-Fi Drums. Buddy Rich, Louis Belson, Chuck Flores, Dave Black, Alvin Stoller, one of the great snare drum players, Stan Levy, and Ira Kotler. Ira Kotler, Frank Zappa's drummer, Frank Sinatra's drummer. And this is a funny record in that they just did a compilation of solos from all these different tunes. So the tune will start and kind of bleeds into the drum solo. But it's fun and you don't see very often. Capital, Hi-Fi Drums. Fun record. You see what else I got here? This is a Ballet Mechanic, George Antille. This also has, it's Robert Kraft conducting the Los Angeles Contemporary Music Ensemble. And they're also doing Chavez's Toccata for Percussion. Anybody remember Chavez, that great band from the East Village, the 90s? What a great band that was. They were Sub Pop? I can't remember. This is a fun record. It's a good performance of Chavez Toccata for Percussion. I've heard other recordings that aren't as good as this. Getting out of the wire. I picked this up on a whim, and what a bizarre, cool record this is. Vincent Gimignani, Modern Pop Percussion on La Romy Productions, 2002. That cover looks, it must be a reissue, right? That cover looks like straight out of Barbarella. And even the lettering. Dig that lettering. I hope this isn't backwards. Fun record, as orchestral as it is percussive, sort of experimental, but a really fun record to listen to that I recommend. Getting down to the wire. Okay, another one of those slightly corny, Hi-Fi, breaking the sound barrier percussion. American Percussion Society, Paul Prius, conductor. Well, these are real compositions. I think they were kind of, the cover's pretty cool too, isn't it? They do Varese ionization, Lou Harrison, Canticle Number 3, Harry Bartlett, Four Holidays, Michael Colgrass, Three Brothers. And unlike many of these records, they list all the players, which is really great. So another fun record, not hard to find. I didn't pay a lot for that, on the Urania label. Okay, boiling down to the wire. This is a great import that I also found at Academy. Drum Spectacular with Kenny Clare and Ronnie Stevenson. Not to be confused with Kenny Clark. Kenny Clare was like the Jim Keltner, the Jim Gordon, the Vinnie Colaiuta of the British session scene back in the 60s and maybe the early 70s. Fantastic big band drummer. And these are all big band tracks designed around these two drummers. And I think on a number of tracks, they're both playing on the same track. Explosive, dynamic, a really fun record if you like some burning records. Actually, it's on EMI Harvest. Isn't that the Harvest logo? You see that little logo there? Anyway, I highly recommend this if you're a drummer, if you're into percussion, if you're into just a really extremely dynamic record. Saving the best for last, digital percussion, Makoto Aruga and Percussion Ensemble. And they're doing right up front Chavez Toccata for percussion, as well as Rex T. Hall's March Humoresque, Robert Fitz Percussion, Mallet in Wonderland, Harold Schiffman Musica Batua, and another piece by Saul Goodman and one by John Black. Digital percussion. This thing sounds fantastic on a good high-end system. Absolutely blew me away. Very deep notes, very high-pitched notes, great ensembles, extremely dynamic. There's a little shot of the studio on the back. Out of all these I've shown today, there are two records you're going to search for if you're into this kind of stuff. It'd be this one, Digital Percussion, Makoto Aruga and Percussion Ensemble. This is hard to find. Or the Max Roach M Boom Collage. That's not hard to find. That's a fantastic record, a fantastic recording. But I'm really curious to know what percussion records you have that you really dig. And I hope you'll join my Facebook group, Jazz Vinyl Lovers. And I hope you have a great weekend.